I want to show you today one of my favorite games that I've played both in person and virtually. Um, I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't get to include this game because we were running out of time. We were covering so much, and I was trying to cover the games that people had specifically asked about. But this one's one of my favorite. And the reason it's my favorite is because I get to be entirely flexible and review whatever it is I want to review and use whatever word lists I've been using, whether it's spelling lists or vocabulary lists, morphology. Doesn't matter. I get to play this game, and it's been really, really effective in groups. So this is a group game. When I'm in person, I create decks of cards with whatever it is I've been teaching. For my older kids, it might be the vocabulary with morphology or just vocabulary in general. For the younger kids, it might be the spelling list, the spelling patterns, the vocabulary words. And I keep a running list in my Google Sheets. So in Google Sheets, I just keep making list after list. I make a list of the words that we're learning. And when I'm in person, I use that list to help create cards. I mean, I could write them out, and I did for years write out cards by hand on index cards. And then I got smarter, and I would print my lists onto cardstock and cut them. And then I got smarter, and I printed my lists onto using Avery, the name card inserts, or using their business cards, the clean cut business cards. Those are my favorite. Using the Avery name badge insert refills, these are most like the deck of cards, the size of a deck of cards. And I use their template, and I just drop my list of words into the template and then print onto one of these, and then they pop apart, because I hate making cards where the cards aren't all the same shape and you can't shuffle them well, and it's hard to even to deal them out. Well, these I don't have to cut and worry about whether I'm cutting them exactly the same, or it's just super easy to break apart. This is 8 to a sheet, and then I've gone to the just using the business cards, the clean cut business cards, because those are so easy to tear apart, and they're 10 to a sheet, so I get more of them. And I think they end up being cheaper, not just because there's 10 to a sheet, but I think that because the product is used more, the product itself is cheaper. So I would make decks of cards using these. So this is one deck, and it would fit nicely in here. I could print on the back, I could print on the front, and I would keep decks of cards to play with. In virtual instruction, I made my decks of cards in Playing Cards IO, and I covered that extensively in the workshop I did, and I have some other videos on Playing Cards IO. But let me just show you how I play the game. This is the game, and I'm using Latin root words and affixes here in this deck, and I'm assuming I have 6 kids in my small group. I don't have 6 kids with me today, so I have one other iPad open that I will show you how it works. But you can imagine if there's 6 kids. So I take that list and I pop it into, I will show you right here. I pop it into here, and I can just retype them and type in more, or I can use their, they have an option of importing CSV, comma, separated value files, and it populates the cards for me. Anyway, so here I've got a list of vocabulary, spelling, words. We've been working on morphology with some of my groups. And I have the deck here. I can set it up to deal 6 cards per person, and that's what I would do in person. I would just deal 6 per person. And what the beauty of Playing Cards IO is that each person's hand is truly private. Only they can see their hand. So as I'm going to do this on the iPad, my iPad is player number 2, and I could go ahead and rename it here. But player number 2 is going to take the cards. You can see me grabbing the deck of cards. When player 2 takes the cards down into his hand, nobody else sees the cards. He can see the cards, but nobody else can see it. And the same thing for 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I don't have 6 people, I would put the extra cards back in the pile. So I'm just going to play with 2 people, this hand here and the one on the iPad. So as player 1, whoops, let me grab this. As player 1, sorry, I'm about to do that on the wrong item. Player 1 takes the cards, puts it down into player 1's hands. Nobody else can see these cards. Okay, so as a teacher, I'm going to call out, and I can be entirely flexible and ask for whatever I'd like. Do you have a word with the root that means to write? And if you have them, put them up into your spot here. Root that means to write. Ooh, here, player 1 has those. Player 2 has those. And I'd say, okay, player 1, read your cards. And they say indescribable. Oh my goodness, that's so amazing. I can't even write about it. There aren't words to tell you what it looks like. It's indescribable. And manuscript, manu meaning man, meaning hand. Manuscript is the what was written by hand. And then player 2, I say, okay, player 2, read me your words. And player 2 says, I have scriptural, relating to the scriptures. And prescription, that's what pre being the prefix, that's what the doctor writes before I can get the medicine. Okay, so we've each played 2. I would say, okay, take 2 more cards to fill your hand back up to 6. Or when I'm in person, I would deal 2 more cards, or however many more for each student. But everyone goes to 6, and then I can do something else. I would like you to tell me, give me a word that's a noun. Okay, I'd like a word that's a noun. And player 1, it's like, okay, this. Player 2 is going to do this. Oh, player 2's got 4 cards. Player 1 has 3 cards. So progression, it is the concept of progressing. Portfolio, it is the thing I carry. It's the thing I carry my papers in. Information, it is the concept of informing. It is what you have when you inform someone. Okay, and player 2 says, I have exportation. That is the concept of exporting, carrying out of the country. Introvert, this is actually a person who turns into himself. Importer, the ER suffix, indicates a person who imports or carries into the country. Transposition, it's the concept of transposing or placing across from where they're supposed to be, letters or numbers. And I'd say, okay, now fill your hands up again. So player 2 takes in 4 more cards, always building back up to 6. Player 1 brings in 3 more cards. And I can ask questions about, give me a word with this suffix. I want a word with this prefix. I want a noun. I want a verb. I want a word that is a noun, and you change it into a verb for me, or tell me the verb form, or whatever questions I want to ask. I can be entirely flexible depending on what I know these students have been learning. If they've been learning parts of speech, I'll ask that. If they've been learning tenses, I might ask for a verb that and now change the tense on that verb, or whatever. I could be entirely flexible, and every time I'm doing this, they keep having to reread and re-examine the words. So I love playing this, and I can do this for 3 minutes, 5 minutes at the end of a class, just whatever extra time I have. So that's at a higher level. I'm going to show you at a lower level. This is grade 2 Wonders spelling words. So again, we'll deal it out. Player 2 can grab his cards, bring it down into his hand, and if you take the number, all the cards go. See, player 2 took the cards, but no one else can see them. Player 1's going to take the cards and put them. No one else can see player 1's cards. And I'll do the same thing. I might do it as give me a word with a silent E. Okay, here, here, here. Ooh, this one has a lot. This one has this one, this one, this one, this one. And I'll say, okay, read the word. And what is the E doing? Okay, the E's making the I say I, and it's making the C say S in ice. Oh, again, E's making the A say A, and it's making the C say S in trace. But we'll read the words again and again and again, and we'll go on. And, you know, we read the words and then fill the cards up again. So this one gets 4, 2, 3, 4, and this one's 4. And I'll ask, okay, I'd like a word with a short vowel. Tell me a word with a short vowel. Here we go. Or whatever it is I might ask if they've been learning about, you know, introduction into parts of speech. I'll just say, tell me a thing that you can make more than one. What's that called when you make something more than one? And you know, it's plural. Okay, so a throne's a thing. And, you know, how do you make it more than one? One throne or 2 thrones, you added the S. Whatever it is that we've been working on, we will practice that with these words. Totally flexible, totally open game, but I'm getting them to read the words again and again, and I ask them to examine the words, really looking at the structure of the words, looking for silent E's, short vowels, long vowels, letter teams, whatever it is I might ask for. I might ask for a specific vowel sound, or do you have any, I don't see any, oh yes, do you have any digraphs or any of those letter teams that make a new sound, like the SH says sh and the TH says th, or th, and the CH, whatever it is that we've been working on, I ask that, and they read their cards and pull those out, and we examine the words and we read the words again and again. And by asking questions, whatever words weren't taken up in one hand are there for the next hand, they have to read them again and then again and again. So I get a lot of repetition of reading as they examine the words. Anyway, this is one of my favorite games that I play both in person and virtually in a group. I don't find it particularly helpful to play it like this with just an individual student. In that case, I do the same concept, but I'll put the words in a bingo card. I hope that is helpful to spark ideas of quick games that you can play with your students, whether you're in person or virtual. And I have instructional videos on using Playing Cards IO on my YouTube channel. And I'm starting to put up some of the backups of my games on TPT. So please check out my store on TPT. Thanks.